should be back. Oh boy, today is going swimmingly. And yeah, that is exactly what happened the first time. We refresh the page over here because it's telling me like everything is also gone to shit. I have no idea why it's doing that. I hope it's not the new internet because we did do that. We did switch to T-Mobile. If it crashes again, I might call it a night because uh-oh. Okay, well there is mic input going on my end, so I'm hoping that's just on your end. Oop. Yeah, if OBS crashes like that again, I might call it a night because I don't know what's going on, and I doubt it's the Wi-Fi because everything is set up and connected, and everything else on the side seems to be going fine. So I feel like it has to be the rain, but I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If there's any other like issues, go ahead and let me know. I'm trying to keep my eye on chat to make sure things I don't miss to make sure I don't miss too much. Essentially, we're gonna use a circle tool for this. Actually, I'm gonna. That's a bit too big. Something like this. Something that's a little bit more centered than what I initially sketched, at least. I know, I'm not liking that either. I think that should actually be a lot better. Alright, welcome back, welcome back. Sorry about all the issues. I really don't know what's going on. I hope to God it's not the new internet, because if it's the new internet, this might be like a permanent problem and I might have to throw hands with T-Mobile. But if it's just the rain will pass, you know? If Mother Nature doesn't want me to stream, I won't stream. I'll listen to her. Anyways. Oh, God. This hand was very, like, funny to draw. I did actually look up references for the loot. And then I thought about it, I was like, I should probably look at reference for someone holding a loot. So I did that, and oh my god, it is interesting having to like study objects that you need to draw sometimes, because it's like how do I put it? It's like you'd think it'd be a lot easier in your head, and then you actually do it, and it turns out the shape is done in a very, very like specific way. So I'm fairly confident drawing people with instruments. I kind of used to do it a lot before. I don't now because it just takes so long. And so I've drawn someone holding a guitar before, and it's like, okay, well, I'll just like, surely the hand is like more or less the same thing, and it's like, it's kind of different just because like I think the neck of the lute and the guitar might be a little bit of like different widths and like everything. And the one that the reference I was looking at had like a very different like hand position. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna follow this one. So it was a bit different. The big thing here is just like how I draw the hand connecting to the wrist, because it's a very different shape and I'm not used to it, and it looks good in the sketch, I think, you know, but I'm not sure how good it's gonna look. I'm not sure how good it's gonna look when I ink it, because while I do say that most of the time that sketch versus line art rule doesn't necessarily apply to me, this is one of those moments where it might, just because there's the lack of clarity helps the shape a lot here, right? Like if I turn this off, this whole blotch right here, it's fine. Like it's fine for a sketch, so it works out. It's not nearly as fine for outlines, because if I make it too thick, well, it's not gonna make a lot of sense. Make it too thin, then I lose a lot of the volume that was initially giving it like that sort of aesthetic boost, for the lack of a better word. So that's gonna be fun to figure out. Oh man, what part of the game was this? I think this was the volcano. This sounds like a volcano level. This game was, has anyone else played Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs? Or any of the Pokemon Ranger games? This was the only Ranger game that I played, so this is all I'm familiar with, but I really liked this one. Again, it may have just been drawing, like, circles at, drawing circles 20 times per second. But it was fun, and I did enjoy all the puzzles and everything. I think I actually played through the whole game twice. Sadly, never played them. Oh, that's alright. I think a lot of people might not have. I actually don't know how good they scored on IGN. Let's see. I don't know how well this was received. Guardian Signs. I want to see the ratings. I got a 7 out of 10 on IGN. That's not bad. Yeah, a lot of people really liked the Guard. I think a lot of people really liked this game. The fun thing about this game was you could have so many Pokemon follow you, and this was back before the release of Gen 6, I believe. So you could have a full team of like all of the evolutions, and it was great. The other really cool thing about it, which I think was its main selling point to an extent, was that you could ride the legendary Pokemon. So you could ride Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, and all of them had like their own like little powers. Raikou allowed you to jump over huge gaps. Entei, I think, let you smash through boulders, and then Suicune let you run on water. And it was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then this was also the first game, to my knowledge, where you could ride Latios and Latias through the sky. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did that, which was really cool, and it always reminded me of like this whole thing from Pokemon Ranger here. So it was really fun. So, you know, don't forget the predecessor to it all. There were some other legendary Pokemon summons, I think. There was a lot of legendary Pokemon that you could just like summon to replay boss fights with them, and the boss fights were really cool. A little tedious though, because again, a huge part of the game was you had to draw circles around the Pokemon that you were trying to capture. So it was a little repetitive in that sense, but it did make for like interesting like battle gimmicks, and I'm curious to know like what like like speedrunners do to get around those like battle gimmicks, because you know it like if this is your Pokemon, right, and you have to draw a thing around it. The thing is if the Pokemon attacked your capture stream, or whatever it was called, the little like Beyblade that you use, you would take damage, and you did have like the thing did have like HP, and sometimes there were Pokemon that could just summon like little orbs around them that dealt damage, so you were just there like, what do I do now? And the whole time, like while you're not doing anything, they just you lose progress on the boss fight essentially. Like they heal. It's not necessarily an HP bar because you're not damaging them, but you know, same concept. So it was very like I am curious to know if people had like ways around that, or if they were just like better at me than it's probably that second one, to be honest. Also, I think every time I think about this one location in the game, I always feel like it had to have been like the assets were like reused in Pokemon Sun and Moon, because of like this one design. But I might be wrong. I'm usually very wrong, but it was very reminiscent of it. So it was always nice to think that maybe Pokemon was like referencing some of its like spin-off games, but I was never sure. I think on Bulbapedia it doesn't mention anything too, and Bulbapedia is like fandom wiki of Pokemon, but like slightly more organized, kind of. A lot of people use Cerebi. I always like ended up going to Bulbapedia, I think. Anyways, what generation of Pokemon is you guys' favorite? Because I know my favorite is going to be Gen 5. Did we have this question already? I think we had a favorite Pokemon question in chat, but I don't remember if we ever did favorite generation. My favorite generation was Gen 5. Great story, great gameplay, great art, great music, all around, like, I can't complain. And if I hear one more thing about the designs, I'm gonna pull up the literal ball of sludge that Gen 1 was, or that Gen 1 created, so there's that. I had a person at the hospital once. I volunteered at a hospital at least at one point in my life, and I know he really liked the OGs, and I was just like, no, the new generation ones are good too. Gen 6 is probably my least favorite. It's like really easy. Show us the sludge. I feel like I need education on the subject. Oh, Grimer? You've never seen Grimer before? Cause the big thing about like Pokemon, fans, right? People who swear by Gen 1, they will complain and be like, oh, but there's a literal garbage bag being used for a Pokemon design here. And I'm like, you guys realize Gen 1 kinda had, you know, a literal ball of sludge in their Pokédex, right? I don't mean this to rag on, like, the old designs, but once again, if you want to criticize something, be consistent about it. It doesn't matter that it did it first. This is objectively the same thing as, this other Gen 5 Pokemon. Like conceptually, let's be fair here. These accomplish the same thing. And you know what? I think there's more detail and personality in this guy than there is this guy. I like that he has sharp teeth. I like that, his little trash arms are pouring out of the bag. I like that he has, like, a little seam going down his head. I like that he kind of looks like... I love that he looks distressed. That looks like a cartoon Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, people will complain about that, and I'm like, guys, Gen 1... You should... Again, the criticism doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I accidentally closed Creator Dashboard. Oops. Wrong thing. But yeah. But Jabumon looks so happy. But I love the distress on Trubbish's face. It reminds me of Butters. So many things reminds me of Butter. Do you guys see, like, the very, like, dumb, silly post of, like, the picture of Butters compared to a Francisco Goya painting? I don't know a lot of artists, or I guess, like, classical, traditionally trained artists, or the artists that you would bring up in a classroom, I mean. I don't know a lot of them. But I know Francisco Goya, and I think that painting of that Mr. Goya made, the Saturn devouring his son, bears an uncanny resemblance to Butters. I think it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I should pull up the post real quick. It's very silly. I have it on my socials. All good, because I'm about to show it off right now. Might be faster if I go onto X or Twitter. Must always dead name Twitter. Alright. So this is a picture of Butters eating his own foot. I don't know what. Real quick, for the context of what's going on here, he was scratching himself, and I kid you not, seconds before this, he had, like, put his foot in his ear to, like, scratch it, and then he just put his foot in his mouth. So I'm not sure what was going on in his head, but then again, It is Butters, just about anything can be going on behind those eyes. This is Butters eating his foot, and this is the painting of Saturn devouring his son. I think the resemblance is, it's striking on it, honestly. It's like, I can think of no better comparison. Like, I've seen that, yeah. It's a very scary painting, but I can no longer take it seriously when this is the first thing that comes to mind when I see it. Yeah, Butters is very funny looking, I think. He has, like, the analog horror eyes. Speaking of analog horror, I think, well, I think for Halloween we'll have a stream where we react to, like, horror content. I think that would be very fun. What day does Halloween fall on? I hope it's Thursday. I think I checked one time on stream, and it was Thursday. And yeah, let me look one more time. If it's Thursday, that's gonna be so perfect, because that'll literally be Halloween night for me. Yeah. No. No, it's gonna be Friday. You know, it works out enough. Maybe we'll add an extra stream or something. I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah. Butters looks like Francisco Goya, and I think it'd be very funny to watch analog horror on stream and watch me cry. Because apparently that's what I do when I'm spooked. I cry. Or I like break out into like a little bit of tears. It's like, jump scares for me, they don't get me too much if like the lead up is like very blatantly obvious. Jump scares will get me though when they're really, really like properly effective. And they don't even need to be like loud. It could just be like there's a thing there and that thing looks very deeply unsettling. Or even like, even like in like written in the written word, if a scare is like set up very, very well, I'll just like I need to, the story's got to stop for a moment. Let's see. Lutes are weird. I don't know why this thing bends back like that, but you know what? I'm not complaining. You go, you funky little stringed instrument. What would you guys do if I just bought a lute and just learned that? I think it'd be a very funny thing. I think it'd be a good thing. It's just instruments are expensive, and that is all. I think it'd be hilarious if I learned how to play a lute, and then I need to like stroll into like Carl's Jr. or actually no, the game store one day and like full bard get up and be like I did it, my time has come. And honestly, Carl's Jr. could do with that right now. For whatever reason, we don't have music playing in the dine, so it's just really silent there. I think we would benefit from having somebody come in with like these sort of like medieval instruments and just playing little ditties on there. I think that would be hilarious. Doing a little jig. And the best part too is that we have like the perfect spot for it. There is a on the way to the bathrooms, there's like kind of like a lute playing would be great. I'd love to learn the guitar and mandolin. Yeah, I gotta get back on guitar too. I was learning I Want to Live, but I haven't picked it up in a bit just because I kind of put a lot on my plate with art at the moment. So, yay me and not knowing how to manage my time. Like I said, art's kind of like, not necessarily slowing down, but I know the stickers aren't as popular as like the bigger like posters and stuff that I do. Or not even like posters, just like my usual pieces with like the really pretty backgrounds and everything. But I'm still proud of them. Like, if you haven't seen, like, I've been doing hit dice stickers. This was the latest one that I did. It's based off of the sorcerer class, so all of them are going to be based off of the class's respective hit die. So sorcerers are D6, and I tried to take all the most like iconic classes for sorcerers and just draw or really paint this around it. So this was like astral something. I can't remember. The bubbles are in reference to one of the possible effects or side effects from wild magic. So that came off the wild magic table. This one's draconic sorcery, and then the shadows in the back are shadow sorcery. So I'm really proud of this one. I think I like it a lot more than the druid one. So, I really want to like get this one printed already because it looks super nice. But we'll see. I still have to look into getting the stickers printed in the first place. And I don't want to do it like individual stickers. I want like full-on like sheets. Like this is a sheet with peelable stickers that you can stick onto flat surfaces and everything. Alrighty. And what time is it? It's 11:28. I'd say we're making good time. I haven't drawn full body in a while. That's another thing. Like, most of the time, if I'm drawing something more than half body, I do usually tend to exclude, like, the feet, just because it's like, well, it doesn't need to be there, so I'm just gonna, like, exclude it. So it has been a while. My legs might be just a little bit off, but it's not terribly noticeable, I think. Also, I think I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. I will be right back, everyone. I dropped my tablet. I'm back. My stomach does not feel entirely better, but I think it'll be fine for the rest of the stream, at the very least. Alright. Anyways, let's see, where did I leave off? Right, over there, and then I think I actually want to start doing this sleeve here. I was looking up like Argyle patterns because Argonon said that this campaign takes place in the desert, so I wanted it. So I tried to make. I felt like Argyle was like very like deserty in a sense. I was like, okay, well this should like work out. Something just a little grungy, but like not too. Well, I guess not necessarily grungy, but something very like reminiscent of like the deserts of Welcome back. Sorry to hear about your stomach. Yeah, it's okay. It happens sometimes. It happens to all of us. I've had far worse days. I know when I'm on my period, that is like significantly worse for a number of reasons. It used to be just cramps. Now it's just lower back pain too. So those days are usually like a lot worse. This is hilariously manageable, or hilariously more manageable, which should speak volumes on like how bad period cramps are. I've been trying to like come up with like really like unhinged ways to say that I'm on my period without explicitly saying on my period. I'll refrain from it here just because it's like kind of gross, but it's like I'm just gonna say these to like people if they ask, and I'm like in real life, just to torment them a little. Because that's what my life is about, making other people's lives worse. I'm kidding. I do try to make things a little bit better. My definition of better is just very, very, like, different from others, probably. Anyways, it's 11:35. I hope I wasn't gone for too long. I tried to, like, be a little fast, but, you know. Let's see. You know, I don't remember where a lot of these soundtracks take place in the game, but I do recognize them, which is really nice. Maybe I'll play Guardian Signs on stream. Maybe I should. Small pleasures in life, right? Is what they deserve to ask. They ask you how many stars in a 6-piece menu. I need to. I mentioned this earlier in stream, but when that lady asked that, I didn't even respond because I was just so like shocked and stunned. Like, did I hear that question right? It was the same. The only time where I felt, I think, remotely the same thing was when I got called Tyler instead of Kyra at the ramen shop. So it was just like just complete awe, like what did you just say? You can't rush these things. I hope you feel better soon. Oh, I'm sure I'll feel better. I'll feel better soon enough. It's not stomach flu like that one time. But yeah, excuse me, how many pieces come in the 6-piece stars? I think you know the answer to that already. My mom thinks it's hilarious, and she was like teasing me about it earlier, and I'm like, Mom, no, don't do this to me. But yeah, among other ridiculous things that happened in the drive-thru, it was really just two things. This one lady, she comes in, her windshield wipers were on like a super fast setting for whatever reason. Now, I know it's like one of those things where you don't necessarily think about it like too much, until it happens, but once I asked my brother how long his 2-minute noodles were going to take to cook. Okay, to be fair, that is like 2 minutes is a suggestion. 2 minutes is a suggestion. You can fudge the number on that a little bit. I'm pretty sure our instant ramen, we always like boil those, and that, you know, that's going to take longer than 2 minutes, depending on how much you want to ruin the pot you're boiling the water in. So anyways, this lady, her windshield wipers are super high, and you know, I get it. It's one of these things where it's like you don't think about it until it happens, and you'd think that when she noticed the windshield wipers splashing water onto my face, she'd do the reasonable thing reasonable thing of, you know, turning it off. Instead, she, like, laughs, and she's like, it's just water, like, what are you on about? And I'm like, I'm trying not to get wet here. And you are... Also, it's not just water. This is water from, like, your car at this point. I don't know where your car has been. And so I know, but I know for a fact that this water isn't clean. And it was just like, what, like... The entitlement of people who live in my city. It's like, some of these people just need, like, a stern talking to, because nobody has ever, like, it's like they've never faced consequences in their life. And they don't know how to interact with people. And they don't understand that other people are human beings, and it's ridiculous. It's like, what is wrong with the people in this city? Like, this is what we get for being, like... Yeah, exactly, how inconsiderate of her. I was complaining about it to my, general manager, like, oh, it's just water, huh? How about I should have splashed water, from our, soda machine. Yeah, exactly, and splash it onto her and be like, oh, it's just water. Like, well, what are you on about? I think I'd let up with, I should have just punched her. Because I was about ready to. It's like, again, you think you'd think any other normal person would notice and be like, oh, let me turn this off for a little bit. Because, you know, I'm not moving. I don't need to see what's in front of me right now. And I'll just turn it back on when, I'll just turn it back on when I start driving again. It's, like, the complete lack of, like, just common sense is baffling to me. It's like, again, I recognize it's not something that you would normally think about, but it's like, you are splashing water onto me. Your car is splashing water onto me. Could you have, like, a shred of, like, empathy for just a moment? So, you know, I don't have to have your filthy car water being splashed onto my face. Throwing hands, look after your artist hands. I do look after them, very, very carefully, because if I don't, they will fall off my wrist, and I'm regretting how I've decided to approach this, because it's not working like I thought it would. Okay. I wonder, is this a credit song already? Oh, it is the credit song already. Very interesting. I really enjoyed this game as a child. I remember Johnny got the game first, and then I got my own copy a little bit later down the line. But I remember I would, like, daydream a lot about it in class, and my teachers were complaining, like, Kara, you've been very distracted recently. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just be distracted. I've always been, like, a very distracted child in the classroom to a certain extent. At some point, my dumbass finally, like, locked in and, like, okay, I gotta focus now. But I would always be, like, thinking about something to do, like, after, like, that I wanted to do, like, after class. I would always be, like, doodling on the side of my notes, like, coming up with, like, all these other stories. And like, the teachers would be like, Kyra, no. I think it was high school when I finally, like, got my act together a little bit more. Or 8th grade, it was one of the two, I can't remember. No, 8th grade might have been, like, a disaster, and, like... Shoot, did we do trimesters or semesters in middle school? I can't remember. I just remember there was, like, one point where, in one of my school years where things were kind of going to shit and I was not happy with my grades, but it worked out by the end of the school year, and I was like, okay, I can live with these grades. I was a very dumb child. One of my favorite things that happened in my school career was in middle school. So there was, like, the general class, and then there was pre-AP, right? Which is, you know, pre-advanced placement class. That's what it, like, stood for, essentially. And I didn't know that. I just saw, like, the pre-suffix, and I was like, oh, that must be the easier class. I'm gonna take that one. So I would always get, like, really confused. Like, why are the teachers being so hard on us? We're literally, like, the easier class compared to the general education students. And then my friends, like, turned to me. And they're like, Kyra, this is the harder class. This is supposed to be the more challenging one. I was like, well, but it says pre-AP. The pre should mean that it's easier, right? And they're like, no! So, oops. And then at that point, so that was 7th grade, and by the time 8th grade rolled around, I was like, well, it'd be really embarrassing if I went to general at this point, huh? And so I took pre-AP again. Just really, really funny stuff because my brain is so unbelievably small. It's like a pea. Yeah, my friends were not amused with me. I wouldn't be amused either. I'd be very, like, confused. I still got good grades, though, is the thing. It's just, again, the entire time I thought I was taking the easier class. Which, I guess on one hand it does reflect, like, as, like, a good thing. Like, oh, I had an easy time taking, like, the advanced placement classes. But at the same time, it's like, well... It's like mission failed successfully. I think that's the best way for me to put it. So you continued to suffer? Well, what else was I supposed... well, at the time, I think I was like, oh, well, I've already set the bar this high for myself. I might as well, like, keep it there. I didn't carry that mindset into high school nearly as much. I took honors language arts for the first 2 years of high school. By the 3rd year, I was like, I'm not doing that again. So I took the general courses my junior and senior year. Traditional approach to schooling doesn't necessarily suit everyone. My brother's an artist for a living and didn't do well in school, but does well in life. You're not dumb. Your brain has a more creative way of thinking and looking at things. Yeah, that's a better way to look at it, huh? Oh my god. No. I also do mean to say, I also should say this. I'm not calling anyone else who thinks like me dumb. I'm very explicitly calling myself dumb, because I am. But I'm also very creative and silly. But yeah, that was my experience with schooling. And like AP stuff. It again, just very, very funny things that I didn't like grasp until like much later into the school year, and it's like someone should have just like talked to me and be like sat me down when I was signing up for my classes. Like, you do realize this is what you're signing up for, right? Because nobody did that, so I was left to my hilarious ability to miserably fail at context clues. It's okay. Again, I passed my classes, I think. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I passed my classes. What a statement. Yeah. Again, it's a miracle I even have my bachelor's degree. Let's see. I'm glad I didn't take the AP, like, AP Language Arts or AP Lit. I did enjoy the class. If you didn't, because what it was at my high school, if you didn't take AP Lit or AP Lang, you took American Literature and ERWC. You have that degree, that is something to be proud of. Yeah, now if only I could put my degree to use. I really should. I keep procrastinating on that because I really don't want my degree anymore, but that's a me problem. But I actually really enjoyed American literature. I think the only book that I concretely remember is The Great Gatsby. But that's kind of because I really, really like the 1920s era of history. Like, I really like learning about that time period. World War II as well. Like, I think those are just, like, really, like, fascinating, like, and interesting, like, points in history to, like, learn about. So I really, really enjoyed The Great Gatsby. We read another book that I can't remember the name of, and I also really liked that one. but I can't remember the name of it. I think House on Mango Street was also one that we read. But oh boy, House on Mango Street that was something. If you've never read it before, it's a very, very, very good book. But also at the time the author didn't know how to use quotation marks, so it was very, very, very hard to read. And me being the dumbass that I was, I believe it was something like Spring Break. We had this book assigned and we had to read up to like chapter whatever, right? And I procrastinated, like, oh well, I've read books before. Like, what was this gonna take me, like a day or two to get through? I sat there at the kitchen counter for what I think was the entire day. Like, I don't understand what I'm reading. But you know, I also don't remember failing that unit, so I think it worked out. Needless to say, I think I was always just better at, like, the math and science classes, because the English classes were not... They're very frustrating. That's all I have to say. At least I have a degree. You have a degree. I don't have a formal degree. I have a diploma in government for workplace inspections. Oh boy. I mean, that sounds like... that definitely sounds like a better job than fast food, which is where I'm at in life in the moment. My parents keep, like, pushing me to apply for, like, these different positions, and I'm like, I guarantee you if I tried to apply for these positions, everyone is going to be vastly disappointed with the result. Because the thing with, you know, software engineer interviews, you have to know how to code, so obviously they're going to interview you about code. And yes, I can write a program. Like, if you ask me to do, like, a very simple program, I can do it. There's just a matter of, like, it's timed, and, you kind of have to know this stuff off the top of your head. I still have to, like, reference my textbooks because, what is it? The code is so frustrating, right? There's, like, the syntax is so specific, and then sometimes you'll write it down, and it doesn't even work the way that you intended. So you're just sitting there like, what the hell went wrong? I literally did exactly what the textbook told me to do, and then so this is genuinely, like, one of the experiences that I had. One of my projects back in, like, one of my freshman semesters in college, I think, it was like a data structure thing, and it was literally just take the code from the textbook, plug it into your Java IDE, and then just watch what happens, or something like that. And I literally did that. I think there might have been, like, some small adjustments that needed to be made, but they were adjustments that weren't, like, that weren't difficult, right? Me and my stupid monkey brain figured that out. Except it wasn't compiling. Like, every time I tried to run the software, it's like, oh, we ran into an error and we had to stop the thing. And I'm looking over all those lines of code, and if you've never read code before, if there's anything that's worse than reading Shakespeare, it's reading computer science code and jargon. Because, you know, it has to, you can't read it the same way you can in English is the frustrating part sometimes. So I'm looking over it, and it's really small text, by the way, and I'm like, I have no idea what's wrong, and I'm so frustrated that I'm just gonna, like, call it here for the night. I turned on my computer the next day, the code runs! I didn't even touch it! And I'm like, I give up! Like, if that had happened to me at least one more time in my comp sci college career, I would have just switched majors. I would have been like, you know what, this isn't for me. If you mean to tell me, like, I can write my code correctly, not know that I wrote it correctly because it's not compiling, and then find out the next day that I wrote it correctly because I turned my computer on and off again, like, no thanks. No thanks. Computers are frustrating. So yeah, that happened. I still don't know why that was the case. I don't know if it had to do with my laptop, like the actual hardware that it was on. Because there's so many things that can influence computer, like programming, which is the frustrating thing. It can literally, like, you can literally have everything right, and then it all just boils down to like, oh, well, maybe your code can't run because your computer literally just doesn't allow for it, and you're just there like, bro, how could you do this to me? And it happened like a few times. I know for one of my assembly language courses, I literally had like code that worked because my classmate was able to get it to run on his computer, and then it didn't run on my computer, and the whole time I was just looking at it like, what the hell? And I barely even made any edits to it, so computer science, while I'm fairly passionate about it, while I have, I think a decent amount of knowledge about computer science, I don't think I would survive in the workplace. I think it would just be me pulling out my hair and screaming at a computer. Which, yes, that would probably be very amusing for a time, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of do that at Carl's already when I'm upset at the soda machine. And that's far easier work. So. Oh well. I did enjoy coding though. I really did like enjoy it. Like, it was really exciting when the code ran and everything. It was always fun coming up with like really like funky solutions to weird problems. I remember one time, I think the class was called like numerical systems or something, or numerical methods. Quintessential programming experience right there. Oh my god, yeah. It is a whole mess with programming. Well, one of my classes in college, we had a project. It was like a very like basic like graphing calculator thing to program, except not actually graphing. It was just like, you gotta solve for the solutions of these functions, and the guy, or my professor, had provided those functions, and I was like, oh, okay, so we gotta make a calculator with user input, and we gotta make it so that if the user puts these functions into the thing, it's going to spit out these answers. So I spent like a long time like mulling over in my head, like, okay, how am I gonna get it so that the program takes the thing, puts the numbers in the right spot in the polynomial, and then derives that polynomial, and then solves for the solving part was easy. It was the user input part that was hard. So I go onto the class Discord server, and I'm like, hey, how did you guys do the user input for the class project? And everyone is like, it was like everyone just like put their hands on their thing, like on their face, and they're like, Kyra, nowhere in the instructions did it say for this to be user input. You were supposed to hard code it in. I was like, wait, really? And they're like, yes! I'm like, oh, shoot. I did user input anyways. I still figured it out. I don't remember how I did it exactly, but I just know that I did it. And it was very funny. So I was very proud of myself for that. Unfortunately, I don't think I have the file anymore, because it was on my old HP Pavilion. And we still have the HP Pavilion, but I think the files got wiped off of it. So, oh well. That would have been like a really funny thing to show like code interviewers, but I don't have it anymore, so oh well. It'd be like that. But yeah, It did work though. There was just one equation that I had to actually like hard code in, just because it was one of those like trig equations, and there was no way in hell I was gonna be able to get. Well, I think I could do it now, because if I had it be like you enter like a string, and the string equals, like, if you take the string force all of them like lowercase, for example, so you don't have to worry about like case differences. And you had to check that. You could, I could technically assign. I could have technically done it, but it would have been very annoying, I think. So, note to self: don't be me, and just moral of the story: don't do computer science. And if you're going to do it, don't be an idiot like I am, because that was simultaneously both one of my biggest blunders in one of my comp sci projects, but also one of my most hilarious successes. It worked out, and I'm proud to say that it worked out. I'm also very sad that I don't have the program anymore. I think the last thing that I wrote in code was an initiative sorter for when I was running D&D. Because I thought, oh, well, if we're running the game through Discord, I'll just copy-paste all the initiatives into the thing, and then do that. But I never did it with, like, file input, so I still had to, like, type it in manually. So I was like, so that wasn't... That was arguably slower, but I was proud of being able to do it, because for the longest time, I didn't know how to, like, make it so that you could do user-inputted objects in code, and oh boy, this is gonna be a whole tangent on its own. So, in Java, you can make objects. Those objects can have like their own like special like attributes to them, and the easiest way to code objects into the thing is to hard code it yourself. But there was at least one or two projects where, there was one project in my data structure class where it was asking, can you get a user to like create these objects? So that means user input is going to be involved again. And I never knew how to do that. So I get to this whole D&D initiative thing. I create an object, it's like entity or whatever. The entity has like an initiative and a name. That's kind of it. And then there's just like a quick sorting algorithm where it's going to take the initiatives and everything and put it into a list from like greatest to least or something like that. But the thing was that I didn't know how to do the user inputted stuff. Hello, Kira, I see you there with your cute little emote. This is a really cute one. If only I knew how to do animated ones. Maybe we'll figure it out one day. And I never knew how to do that. So I'm doing like the D&D thing, and I think I finally like worked it out in my head. And it does work. It does work again. It's just very, very like I should have done it like file input, so it could have been like taken from like a text file or something. But I was very proud of it because that was like the first time in a long time that that I had programmed something, and I was very happy that it worked. I didn't want to disrupt you. Oh, you're good. You're good. It's always lovely to have you here. Alrighty, so that is the loot. I gotta get the tuning pegs here though. When I was drawing this, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot the pegs. I hope there isn't like that many of them on there, because guitar has 6, ukulele has 4, violin also has 4, and I was like, there's no way it can be like that many, right? So it's 7 on each side, I think. Let me check one more time, because I counted, and I counted 7. Let's see, where's a good image? If it's not 7, I'm gonna feel very embarrassed. Where's the image I was using? It's something kind of like this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this one has 8. Do they just vary? Am I stupid? Chat, I might be stupid. I could have made this with something with only like 10 strings. Yeah, I think I will do that actually, because well, no, it's already sketched. It doesn't look that bad. Chances are I probably won't paint in the strings either, just because it's gonna be really, really crowded in the space that I have, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I also gotta like think about like what I want to do for the background too. I'm very excited to get to it. I don't usually draw deserts, so this one's gonna be fun. I think I tried to when I looked back on the stuff that Argonon sent me. I was like looking up like some like again I wanted to make sure her character had like a very like desert feel to her. So again like the diamond pattern on the tunic I thought would be helpful in like getting that point across. This is a cactus flower engraved on the lute. I think that'll be a nice touch too. I wanted to do the same thing here, but like with a rose. That didn't turn out, so I think just the flower there works out. I don't know what kind of plants I'm gonna draw in the background, so I'll have to see. Obviously a cactus. I think that's a given. I don't think there's too many different kinds of desert at the end of the day anyways, so I think a cactus will work out. I used to keep cactuses like in or cacti I guess. I think actually both is correct. Cactuses and cacti. Can't remember. Point being, I had some on my windowsill. They died because try as I might, I am not particularly great at taking care of plants, which is unfortunate. I think I'd be better at it if I didn't have to keep it like behind my blinds the whole time, but I kept it behind my blinds the whole time, and even with the reminders, it was just hard to remember to like water everything. Let's see, what are we going to listen to now? I've been listening to a lot of like this one indie band called The Happy Fits. I wish I could play the music on stream, but I, you know, copyright and everything. But they're so good. Let's see, what's another good OST that I could pull up? Friday Night Funkin' would be crazy, but that playlist would be over like so fast.